Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone. And I have such a good episode for you today. If you feel overwhelmed at home and you feel a little guilty about delegating things, this is the episode for you. Before we get into it, can I ask you a little favor? If you haven't already, can you please go review this podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify? It helps more moms find the No Guilt Mom podcast so that all moms everywhere can have less guilt about doing stuff for themselves and more joy and more happiness in their life. Shout out to all my Lolas. Hello, how are you? Let's get into it, okay? Because a lot of moms, you're probably one of them, are doing everything. You're doing the planning, the remembering, the coordinating, the executing. And even when there's help, it feels like everything still runs through you. No matter how efficient you try to be, there's never enough time. You always feel rushed. You always feel like you're dropping the ball on something. And so you push harder, you try to get more done, and you tell yourself this is just part of being a mom. But I want to tell you, the issue isn't that there's too much to do, although it kind of is that there's too much to do. The issue is that there is too much sitting on your shoulders. There is too much for you to do on your own, and no amount of productivity hacks are going to fix that problem. We're going to break this down into 3 parts today. First, we're going to talk about what buying back your time actually means for moms. And if that sentence right there, buying back, using money, investing in it, causes you a little bit of guilt, don't worry. We're going to tackle that because we're also going to talk about why getting help at home feels so hard and how to move past it and what to outsource at home and how to start small without the guilt. Because stay with me, this isn't about spending more money or doing less as a parent. It's about finally feeling supported in your life and getting more joy. And to do that, today we're joined by Christine Landis. Christine is the founder of Peacock Parent and the creator of Proxy, a tool designed to be a thinking partner for the mental load that so many moms and dads, some dads out there, carry every day. She helps moms rethink what it means to manage a home by showing them how to outsource, get support, and let go of the guilt that often comes with it. As a mom of 2 herself, Christine knows firsthand how heavy the mental load can feel, and she's on a mission to help moms feel less alone and more supported in their daily lives. And oh my gosh, in this episode, we talk about what a meal prep chef is. Like, I had never heard of that before. And also like a really simple way you can start small if you identify as a control freak of somebody who's like, no, I can't possibly have somebody else do it because they wouldn't do it my way. Keep listening. Let's get on with the show. Hey, Christine, it's so good to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm like so interested to get into it with you because this whole idea of buying back your time, it sounds smart. Like logically, it sounds smart. And I know that so many moms struggle with the emotions and the guilt of paying for something they quote unquote should be doing themselves. So I want to hear like a little bit about your story. How did you figure out that you should be buying back your time rather than doing everything yourself?
So I'm a former CEO. I had a company I sold actually 8 years ago now before I became a parent. And so for me, that transition from, kind of powerhouse at work where we're taught in order to scale, in order to grow, in order to make a profit, you do need to hire and delegate and, rely on your team. And we take such pride in that at work. And yet at home, when I became a parent, it was just natural to me to do the same thing. And yet all of my friends looking around, especially new mom friends, no one else was delegating at home. No one else was outsourcing. Everyone was trying to do every little step themselves. And I just thought, this is crazy.
Right.
why are we not trying to scale for more joy? And so I think for me, like buying back time principle, it all comes down to delegating effectively. And
Mhm.
some of that is the doing, and that's the actual physical help of like someone doing laundry or someone helping to do the dry cleaning or doing meal prep. But then there's also the thinking. There's so much as a parent that you're constantly thinking ahead, or noticing or wanting to research a bit more about. And so I think it's really interesting when you start thinking about buying back time in that twofold manner of like, we can buy back time physically and we can buy back time emotionally.
Mm. So, like that buying back time emotionally, I think that is what we have the hardest time doing as women because we've kind of been instructed our entire lives. We've seen it on TV shows growing up. Like the moms are the ones doing everything. They are there, they are providing the emotional support, they are keeping track of things. Heck, if moms weren't in the picture, everything would fall apart. Like, this is the messaging that we got, Christine. I'm curious, like, did any of this messaging affect you in the home? Versus like you said, you came into it as a CEO, but like, how did this messaging play on you?
Oh, I absolutely went through my shame spiral for sure. I mean, it's what really prompted me to create and found Peacock Parent, which is a term I completely made up, just like a tiger mom. I was like, all right, let's call us Peacock Parents because we're willing to value our time differently, and that could be a really special and beautiful thing. It's unique, but it doesn't mean it's bad or wrong. It's just different. And the idea, for me was, yes, I looked around, I saw no one else is doing this. And then of course I'm thinking, is it just a money issue? Am I an asshole if I bring up the fact that I have a night nurse or, that I did hire someone to do this or like, that I outsourced that? Does it make me a bad mom? So of course, like that's absolutely what led me to realize that, wait a minute, this isn't a bad thing. I'm not a jerk. I'm not a bad mom. This is just about, we're not normalizing it. We're not talking about it
Right.
because we're so scared to offend somebody. We're so scared to come across as this, again, bougie or just, and it's like my whole thing is like,
Bougie's like, yeah.
yeah, it's like, I'm not bougie. I'm just busy, man, and I want to enjoy my life. Like I work so hard. So does my husband. Like we work hard for this good life that I want to be able to enjoy and live it and have the freedom to spend my time the way I want to.
This bougie term is so used against women, by the way, being bougie. And it's funny that you bring up the thing of night nurse. I just heard a interview with Callie Cuoco, the actress who's on like The Flight Attendant and was on The Big Bang Theory. She was giving an interview on Armchair Expert, and she was talking about when her baby was born. And people were like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good." And she said, "Well, that's because we have hired help at night. So I am sleeping. I do look rested because I am sleeping." But how many women, like, even when I had my kids, I mean, my oldest is 12, going back to that time, it never even crossed my mind of getting someone at night. And that was the hardest time in the world for
Mhm.
me. And you did it, right? You had a night nurse. Oh my gosh, what was that like?
I mean, heaven, I had someone 7 nights a week, no
Mhm.
joke. And it was 2 different people so they could cover all the shifts. And it sounds so extreme. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying everyone has to do it that way. I had friends who literally had someone come 2 times a week just to have kind of like a relief pitcher.
Right.
But it was wonderful because it was comfort. It was knowing that like peace of mind. I
Mhm.
still would breastfeed at night, but I didn't have to get fully awake and get up and change diapers and all of those, the swaddling and just all the things that make you really hard to go back to sleep. And it was, again, comfort, not just for my sleep, but also for just my peace of mind, because I would ask them questions. Like they were educators,
Mhm.
not just night nurses, but like these newborn care specialists. I had someone the
Yeah.
first night I was home from the hospital showing me how to swaddle tight and just even the low stimulation of the lights in the room. I mean, just things
Mhm.
that I had no idea about because there's no manual, there's no SOP for
No.
us to follow. And I could talk for hours about night nurses specifically, but I love your story about Kelly and I act like I know her, Kaylee,
Yeah.
about, acknowledging she had hired help, about the
Yeah.
services she used, because again, I find myself, I'm very open about it because, there was, gift being wrapped. I'm like, oh, I didn't wrap it. It's like
Right.
I'm owning being like, I thought of the gift or like, I'm so happy to give it to you. And I'm so happy to be here to celebrate with you, but I don't have to take credit for every little step. I can acknowledge when someone else helped me do something and that's okay.
Yeah, it is such a just hard thing to, first of all, I've noticed that there's a like pattern in a lot of the women I talk to, first to ask for help, to say that they need help in that area, because asking for help is somehow admitting that you're deficient. You can't handle it all, which, I mean, we can't handle it all. There's way too much going on. But like, what are some signs that a mom is not buying back her time, even if she like feels like she's managing everything well?
I think a big fear of buying back time is that you're going to have to manage more people or more things, and that they're not going to do it the way you want it done.
That's a big thing I've heard. Yes. Yes.
And so, and especially powerhouses that already manage so many people at work, you don't have to also feel like your home is a business too. But I'd say one of the signs is that if you really feel like there is, again, zero services, like you do not have a house cleaner, however often it is, no judgment. It could be once a month, but it's like if you don't have anyone come to your house to help clean, if you're not using grocery delivery services, if you haven't automated laundry or dry cleaning, if you have no meal delivery concepts or have never looked into a meal prep chef, these are like all the physical things you can be doing. If you're not using AI, in your life, especially as women, I think for work and in business, and talk about the same type of philosophy of we're doing all these things at work, but not in our homes. If you're not delegating some of the thinking to AI in your own home, that's a problem because you're missing out. And we could talk about Proxy later. I have a service I've developed that I think is brilliant, but there's a ton of tools out there these days. And so I think that would be my first, just clue for yourself. Be honest. If there's literally no service that you have at home right now, then you're absolutely not buying back time. And if you're constantly drained, if you're constantly feeling resentful from your partner, and if you have no time for a hobby, and I'm not talking like you need to be knitting, but like we're talking like reading a book, like, having time. I do adult coloring, going for a walk to catch up with your friend, like these basic kind of elements, then that's a big signal.
You know what's interesting about tax season? It's one of the only times most people actually stop and look at their full financial picture. Earnings, spending, savings, all of it. And honestly, it made me realize I wanted that kind of clarity year round, not just once a year when the IRS makes me do it. Instead of just looking back and cringing, I'm now looking forward and I'm making moves. And for a mom who's trying to plan for kids' activities, save for a family vacation, and not completely ignore retirement, that clarity is everything. That's where Monarch comes in. I'm not just tracking spending and feeling bad. I'm actually hitting milestones. And when that tax refund hits, I know exactly where it's going to make the biggest difference for my family. Simplify your finances with Monarch. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this tax season and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code NOGUILT. Achieve your financial goals for good with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes money management simple. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off at monarch.com, code NOGUILT. You know what I love about kids? Every single one of them is wired differently. My kids learn in totally different ways, and honestly, that used to stress me out, but then I realized that's not a problem to fix. That's something to celebrate. So if your child is the kind of kid who thrives with a little more flexibility, a little more personalization, or just a different environment altogether, I want to tell you about K-12 powered schools. K-12 powered schools are tuition-free, online, accredited public schools for kindergarten through 12th grade. And before you say, isn't that just homeschooling? No. K-12 powered schools has state certified teachers trained specifically in online education, giving your kids personalized instruction and real-time support. Your child learns at their own pace with curriculum tailored to their goals, needs, and interests, whether they need more challenge, more support, or just more breathing room. With over 25 years of experience helping more than 3 million families, K-12 powered schools could be the perfect fit for your kid too. Enrollment portals are open right now. Visit k12.com/NGM to find a K-12 powered school near you. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/NGM. K12.com/NGM.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or dsw.com today and let us surprise you.
Being able to go into like a growth activity or learn more, like you don't have time because you're going from place to place or have so many things going on. I want to hit on that control aspect because this is something I hear come up a lot is like women will say, I'm such a control freak. I need stuff done. Like it's a badge of honor almost being a control freak. My husband is actually, I feel the same way because you mentioned that grocery delivery service. And this is something like we were considering automating in our home. And my husband saying to himself, he does the groceries shopping, by the way. He does not like other people picking out his groceries for him. He needs to do that on his own. He said, no matter how much time it takes, no matter how stressful it is. What have you seen kind of help those supposed control freaks let go a little bit and delegate to these services that could take the load off?
So start small. For the grocery, I would say start with maybe household supplies. So it has nothing to do with meats, or maybe let's just even stick with groceries. It's like maybe say, okay, fine, go to the grocery store for some meats. Hey, he's still having the drive time, but sometimes people really enjoy that. Like they like the idea of getting away a little bit, driving, having something to do. But you're like, let's get staples. And maybe, like I said, it's not just like the toilet paper. It's also all the dry foods, the bread, the crackers, the cereal, all those kind of basic things in the middle that are harder to mess up. So let's start with that. And especially with Amazon or Whole Foods Fresh, you can build in your preferences of like, don't substitute, okay to substitute.
Right.
And I'd say build up the trust because that's what it is that you're needing. I would also say just in general, for anyone that you're thinking about dipping your toe in the water, it's really important, especially with your partner, to identify whether they love doing something or not, because there might be something you dread. Like for me, the idea of going to the grocery store, that really does sound like hell.
I hate it. That's why he does it. He like puts his headphones in, Christine, and he doesn't talk to anyone. And he just is in his own little world. That's the only way he likes it.
And that's where, if it really is joyful for him, it's almost a threat if you're trying to bring up the idea of automating it. And so
True.
you have to then sit there and go, okay, well, if you still love it, then I want to make sure our basic household needs are always met. So I want these things automated. And again, the snacks for the kids, maybe you get dinners, but all of our actual snacks and lunches, we're going to always have delivered automatically. So I never have to worry about that getting done. So there's a conversation to be had there. And this is where I will bring up Proxy. This is exactly that tool for you as far as it's a thinking partner. It is there for the mental load. It's there for all those hard conversations, those scripts, those moments that either you want to vent about your partner or you want help thinking through, how do I bring this up? Or how do we start buying that time? How do we start even delegating some of the groceries? Like this exact scenario, whatever it is for your family, whether it's laundry or the house cleaning, whatever objections you're nervous about or are fearful that he'll bring up, or even judgment from an in-law, whatever it may be, that's part of the job of Proxy, is to help think that through for you and give you a real-time suggestion and script and decision about this is what we would do.
Right. Well, let's prepare everybody kind of emotionally for buying back the time in their home. Because logically, it totally makes sense. But emotionally, a lot of women feel kind of icky about it. We touched a little bit about this, but what do you think contributes to that ickiness feeling that you feel about paying for something in your home?
Oh, it's that feeling that I could do it. And the truth is you can, at a cost. And to me, it's the cost of your joy. It's the cost of your freedom. It's even the cost of your partnership, and your friendships and even your relationship with your own self, because there's something you're going to have to give up in order to do it all yourself. And
It's true.
And I think that really takes having a really hard conversation and full look at your life. And this is going to sound morbid, but you start thinking about, okay, if I only had 2 weeks, if I knew, if I can't predict the future, if I only have one more year, like, is this how I want to be spending my days? Because you can get in a sacrifice mentality really easily, especially as a parent. And I think we have been taught that sacrificing and mommy martyrdom is
Yeah.
the way to show everybody that you're a good mom. And it's again that same principle of like the busyness and at work, that used to be a badge of honor, being so busy. And so I would really just challenge people to say, but what if that wasn't how your kids were measuring you? More importantly, what if, do they know you made their lunch, or are they just, happy that they're eating and that then you're available at breakfast to really sit with them and talk about the day ahead and have all of your focus and attention on them? What are they going to feel and remember later? And again, same thing for your partner. Like, are you guys at the end of the day, instead of doing chores and more stuff around the house after the kids are in bed, or are you having time to connect and not just fall on the couch and watch a show because there's nothing left to give?
Mhm.
It's really having to peel back, like, what is the time, the opportunity cost of this time in terms of joy
Absolutely.
that I'm giving up and energy?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because it, if you don't think of it that way, and even though like we may think it's morbid to think like, okay, is this what I really want to be doing with my life? Something that we push through anyways as moms, like something that on the No Guilt Mom podcast we push against hard is this mommy martyrdom thing. Like the best mom is a happy mom. You don't have to be doing it all. Like your kids want to see you happy. They want to see you enjoying life. And it comes to really balancing all of those pressures from the outside almost and the pressures of our own expectations. There is a conversation that happens around privilege when we talk about buying back time. Can you address that a little bit?
Absolutely. So again, part of the Peacock Parent name was, let's just label it something now before someone else does, because we're talking about really sensitive subjects. We're talking about the value of your time and money. And I think there is this need to say, I know I'm so lucky, or, to explain it in some way. And in a perfect world, I'll be honest, I'd rather us not have to explain that away. I'd rather it be, and we have this gig economy for so much that to try to understand that, hey, the economy works because we're all contributing to it in some capacity. So if someone is signing up for a job, whether it's cleaning the house, whether it's a meal prep chef, whether it's someone that's only doing laundry for you, someone who's doing lawn services for you, the handyman that comes, all of these small things that are all forms of buying back time. That is part of how the entire cycle works. So I think there is an element of just allowing yourself to understand that you're not a part of the problem. You're actually you're part of the solution. You're part of how these people are making their own money and being able to support themselves. I'd say the other part of the privilege that, yes, these services cost money, I'd say is you just have to let that go. It's almost like, I won't say it's a forgiveness, because that again acts as if there's something you've done wrong, but it's that guilt again that comes with it, that shame. But I think the more open you are about it, it just allows for it to be a conversation with people, instead of
Right.
feeling like you're hiding it. Because when you hide something, that automatically does create this feeling of shame. And so, again, I'm not saying encouraging you to blast it around and start feeling like, you're making anyone else feel bad about it, but don't hide it. If someone asks like, oh my God, how did you make this? I love this recipe. Be like, oh, actually our meal prep chef made that for us. I can ask him for the recipe though. Like, isn't it so
Yeah.
good? And, they might be like, oh my gosh, I don't even know about a meal prep chef. And then all of a sudden you're normalizing it and you're starting a conversation. And I think I would just encourage people to come from that place.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. Midi, the care women deserve.
This is a Monday.com ad. The same Monday.com helping people worldwide getting work done faster and better. The same Monday.com designed for every team and every industry. The same Monday.com with built-in AI, scaling your work from day one. The same Monday.com that your team will actually love using. The same Monday.com with an easy and intuitive setup. Go to Monday.com and try it for free. Yes, the same Monday.com.
You know what I wish existed when my kids were little? Great Wolf Lodge. An indoor water park inside your hotel where it's always 84 degrees, especially living in Phoenix where the sidewalks burn your toes. That would have been amazing. At Great Wolf Lodge, the whole family gets to splash around in a massive indoor water park with a wave pool, a lazy river, and water slides that you can all ride together. But here's what's really cool about it. They also have Magi Quest, which is a live action adventure game kids play throughout the entire lodge. It's like the magic never stops and your kids are always occupied. Between the Northern Lights Arcade, the great dining options, and the complimentary dance parties nightly, there's genuinely something for everyone all under one roof. No packing up and driving somewhere every hour. No, I'm bored. Just connection, fun, and honestly, a little magic for you too. With 22 lodges across the country, there's probably one close to you. Check it out at greatwolf.com and bring your pack together. I want to dig into this meal prep chef thing because I have never heard about this before. And also like talking about like not hiding the help you have at home. I mean, I have a house cleaner who comes to my house every 2 weeks. It's 2 of them. It takes them 4 hours to clean our entire house and they do an amazing job, way better than I could ever do or my husband could do. And it's funny because it comes with a certain amount of shame talking about it because like friends will be like, oh, I'm cleaning my house this month, this weekend, or da 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 da. Even though I know that they could probably afford a house cleaner, it's not usually as much as you think it is, but it's more people's level of pride and the way that, you know, you don't want to be seen as someone who needs the help or someone who uses the help. It's bizarre, Christine. It's bizarre. But let's talk about that meal prep chef. What is it and how did you find one?
So Proxy can help you find one. And we do have vetted recommendations of different companies that specialize this regionally and even insider pricing we can pass along to you. But the bottom line is it's someone that comes into your home as little as once a week. They can make, let's call it 3 dinners and maybe 2 lunches, and everything's in a glass container. You do provide the glass containers, but they do all the grocery shopping. They come into your home. They spend 4 to 5 hours in your kitchen using all of your equipment, and they make everything, label it, put it in the fridge, and they're out of there. And they're just doing everything you would do, but more efficiently because they're usually a trained chef. And so they are just going to be quicker with their knife skills. They're going to be more efficient with what they're making at the same time rather than one recipe at a time. And I'd say this roughly is like $550 you might pay for a person's time for the grocery shopping and the cooking and the cleanup and having all of the meals. And again, I'd say 3 meals probably for dinner and 2 lunches or snacks, something like that.
Is that per week or per month or?
Per week.
Per week.
So
Okay.
per week is probably what you pay for that. Now, there are other meal delivery services that are less expensive that will be full meals that you can make, not these meal kits. I'm not a fan of meal kits personally. But again, unless someone loves cooking, then that could be a good solution for them. There's also, personal chefs that you can have 4 times a week. That starts getting pretty expensive. But there's so many possibilities. Here's the truth. And you could also have someone just once a month that could be reprieve, just like that night nurse example. You get to choose what's right for you. It could be maybe when you get back from vacation and you want to ease back in that week and not feel totally stressed. And maybe that's just part of your vacation kind of gift to yourself, being like, you know what? That first day we're back, I'm going to pay someone to do all the grocery shopping and get our like fridge refilled with stuff for us so we can just ease back in.
That sounds like a dream. Coming back from vacation is sometimes the hardest thing. Like I've just come back from a vacation and our fridge was empty for about 5 days before we were able to get to the grocery store. Wow. Okay. You're opening up my mind here, Christine. So for someone listening right now who's like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing, but I'm just feeling so guilty. Like, I don't know if I could do it. You mentioned already starting small. What other mindset shifts have you seen that have helped people move past that guilt?
It takes knowing what you want to do with your free time. So I do have this guide that's called, 55 ways to plan for joy. But the whole point is knowing how you're going to free up your time. Like if you're willing to pay for it, because you could do it yourself, but if you're going to pay for someone to go to the grocery store and make those meals, then what are you doing instead? Because if it's just you doing more work, that's probably not worth it, but if it's you going to a hip hop class that you've been wanting to go to, if it's, again, you spending time taking a master class from your home that you're like, I've always been wanting to learn about interior decorating and there's this master class or something from who knows who, but it's really getting clear about like, what are you doing with that time? And I think that allows you to be more willing to invest in this other service and take that small step. Because if you're just adding more onto your plate or filling it with more to-dos, then it just feels like this never ending spiral. And like, why is it worth it if I'm just still stuck, spinning over here? But you have to get yourself unstuck.
This is such a good point because I know a lot of women have trouble relaxing and just sitting and doing nothing. And so when you think of like somebody coming into your home and doing all the food, you're like, oh my gosh, well, what am I going to do? I can't just sit back and relax. I would feel like even more guilty. But finding those outside things is so important. And I want to add like that having that additional goal for yourself, having that additional thing that you want to achieve versus being just there to be reactive to what your kids need or what your family needs. I don't think that that is a good trade either for the time or the money. Actually having those things that you're interested in. Christine, I'm interested, like what hobbies, what other activities are you interested in that you use for your time when you outsource?
I outsource a lot, obviously. The ways I do that, again, are drive time is my number one thing that I don't think a lot of people think about because we assume it's just a given. Like I have to get to that appointment or how else am I going to do that? But you can have almost anyone come to your home and perform a service. So that could be a personal trainer, someone who does yoga. You could have different like facial lash services, like hair services, all of that. But getting to what you asked about, I love to adult color. That is something that is my version of meditation. And for like 20, 30 minutes at a time, I can sit with my little glitter pens and my mandalas, and it allows me to process, because there is so much overstimulation as a mom. And I've been taking hip hop classes. I have someone come to my house and they teach me hip hop and like
they come to your
week.
House? Awesome.
And I'm like literally in practically pajamas, and I'm just doing my own little routine that's totally just for me. And they just teach me. Honestly takes me probably 45 minutes to learn like 15 seconds of choreography, but like I'm moving and it just makes me feel good and it's just for me, like I'm not performing for anyone. Of course, I do love to read my book. And what else do I do? I think honestly going for walks. I'm a big I love to listen to my audiobooks, especially autobiographies and all those journey of self-discoveries I'm a sucker for.
Yeah. I'm always about the growth books, like professional growth or like how I can like manage emotions or stuff like that.
And I do a lot with my husband. We have date nights we build in. We plan our week every week. We sit down and each of us put in and block time in our calendar for whether it's for him walking the dog. That's his thing he loves to do for himself. We go to the movies, we'll go to concerts, we go to a play. Like we make sure, that counts. Like it does feed my soul to feel more connected to him.
Right. How has your husband bought into this outsourcing of household tasks? Does he manage any part of it or did you have any like struggles?
No, because part of it, he's also a CEO of a software company. But the bigger unlock for us was just this honesty about, do you want to do it? Because I don't want to do it, and especially again, getting back to that dread. And so if neither of us are willing to do it, then the only option really is to outsource it at that point. We could sure barter about it. We could trade off. There's, of course, a fair play method. There's a ton of ways to approach it if delegating or paying for someone was completely off the table. But for us, when there was already a conversation about, hey, like, we know what exhaustion feels like. We know what a long day emotionally and draining from work feels like, to then come home and have to also empty the dishwasher and start meal prep and clean up and all those things, like, or we could pay someone else to do it. And so it really became an easier conversation because of the willingness to admit, I don't want to do this. Do you?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And also, my time is valuable.
Yeah.
And I think really starting the conversation about time and the value of your time is a huge piece.
That is a huge piece. That was one of like the big turning points in my relationship with my husband is actually reading Eve Rodsky's book, Fair Play. And that first time myth she had that somehow thinking that our spouse's time is more valuable if he's the breadwinner because he's getting more money for his time. That looking at that thought and flipping that around and being like, no, our time is equal has bought me so much more joy than anything ever has.
Absolutely. And I think, especially with men, it's making sure they understand the return on their investment. Because at some point you're saying, hey, this is a low joy task for me. I would love to hire cleaners to come once a week instead of twice a week. And it would just make me feel like I don't have to worry about all the clutter. And I just think I'll be a little brighter and happier. And really kind of translating it to like, and then we can just sit on the couch and spend some more time together, or, like they just want to have more time and connection with you is the bottom line. And so really like showing them that there's less either nagging, there's less resentment, there's more joy, whatever way. Like at some point, I think both partners, regardless of man or woman, we want our partners to be happy. And I think being really honest about that, again, is just part of that communication of like, this is just more low joy than I realized. Like, I think I really dread it every week. I do. And, and just starting there of just complete honesty.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting too, because you don't realize how much it wears on you until you get out of that environment. For the first time ever, my husband and I took a vacation together. We went to Japan. It was our 20th wedding anniversary. Yeah. And like, it was amazing. And I was like, it was interesting looking at like my own personality and how I felt because I could give like so much attention to him and I was so much more lighter and free and willing to like take more time for things and not rushed all the time that I didn't realize how rushed my daily life was. Even like me being aware of it, me being like no guilt mom and already taking a lot of things off my plate, there's still more work to do. There's still more stuff that I could do to relieve some of that pressure and stress off of me. And so I want to just tell everyone listening that if you're feeling like that you don't have time for your partner or you don't have time for joy, it might be because you're too overloaded with things you're trying to do yourself. And you have something to help with that, Christine. Tell us all about Proxy.
Proxy is a thinking partner. It's text-based. There's no app you have to download and notifications you have to manage. We are really there to help you think through everything, and especially a lot of those things you don't know. Like you don't know what you don't know. And that's really a principle, I think, of motherhood in general. At every stage, right when you think you got it, then there's another stage of adolescence or teenagers or whatever it may be. So for us, we really encourage people just vent to us, or tell us what's on your mind. Like if you're feeling like you want to talk to your husband about delegating more, or you want to get ready for your Japan trip, or you don't know what to think about, or what else do I need to think about? That's our job, is to help think ahead for you. And, we can make recommendations about who to hire or how much it costs or, and we help really get down to what is the value of your time. At the end of the day, the ethos of Proxy is how do we maximize your time and joy in this life? And we can make recommendations based on your location, again, based on your lifestyle, based on your stage of life, more importantly. So it's really there to be a trusted and private thought partner. And it is different than ChatGPT in a million ways, but I'd say the top three are: we make one recommendation and one decision for you. We're not giving you options. We're not trying to overwhelm you. It's text-based and we're private. We don't, ChatGPT is about to have a ton of ads. They're collecting so much data on you. They're following the same, kind of business philosophy as Google. And that's understandable to build up their advertising just like Meta did. And so with ChatGPT, you're going to start being targeted. They're building profiles on you. Yes, that helps them get to know you a little bit, but that is getting shared. And with us, with Proxy, we are completely private. No data is being shared, and we're completely unbiased. We don't get paid by anybody except you. So if we make a recommendation, it's because we think it's the best one for you, not because we're paid to say nice things.
Well, that's incredible, especially the whole thinking ahead. Like, I am definitely one of those people who doesn't realize what I need until like the last minute. And then I'm totally stressed because it takes a lot of work the last minute to get all of it together. So I am so interested in trying it out from that standpoint alone. And Christine, thank you so much for joining us here today and for kind of shedding this light about what we can do to buy back our time as women and how we can live more joy-filled lives.
I love it. I hope everyone buys some time back just in the next week. And I can't wait to hear about it. I hope you follow us at Ask Proxy. Hopefully I'll hear from a few of you as well and tell me more about your life.
Yes, we will put a link to Proxy right in the show notes. And to all of our Lolas out there, thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. And I will talk with you later. If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You can also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.
This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.